The phone rang, and Thomas Swiftriver answered. "Hello, am I speaking with Thomas Carrillo?" a voice asked. "No, actually my name is Thomas Swiftriver. My wife, Nina, still uses her maiden name, Carrillo," Thomas replied. The caller introduced himself. "My name is Dr. Chihid Alwari. I'm calling because, about 6 months ago, your wife and I started being intimate at the hospital where she works." Thomas's grip on the phone tightened. "What the heck is this? Some kind of prank call?" "No, this isn't a joke," Dr. Alwari replied, his tone blunt and unrepentant. "To be perfectly clear, she was amazing in bed, wild and insatiable. But I'm short on time, so here's why I'm calling. I'm heading back to my home country soon, and you deserve to know the rest. About 2 months ago, Nina moved on and started sleeping with another doctor, a guy named Felix Turner. Figured you should get a heads up. Hopefully you're not some spineless pushover who'll just sit there and take it." Thomas's mind reeled. "Wait, how do I even know you're telling the truth?" "If you want proof," Alwari said, "go to storage room 506 at the hospital within the next 15 minutes. You might catch them in the act. My flight's landing, so that's all I've got. Good luck. Doormat." The line went dead, leaving Thomas standing there, phone in hand, heart pounding. His mind scrambled to process what he'd just heard. Could it really be true? The woman he loved, the mother of his child, cheating with not just one man but 2. The revelation was staggering, but his desperate need for answers quickly pushed aside any hope that it might be a cruel hoax. Then a thought struck Thomas. Oliver, their neighbor, worked hospital security at the same facility where Nina was a nurse. Without wasting another second, Thomas grabbed his phone and dialed. The line connected. "Bayfield Security, this is Oliver," came the familiar voice. "Oliver, it's Thomas," Thomas said, his voice tight with urgency. "Listen, are you working tonight?" "Yeah, I'm on shift right now." "What's going on?" "I just got a crazy call from some doctor," Thomas explained. "He said Nina's been cheating with him at first and now with some guy named Turner. Supposedly they're in storage room 506 right now, being intimate." "Are you serious?" "I wish I wasn't," Thomas said, his voice cracking. "But I need to know the truth. Can you check the room? And if they're really there, can you snap a few pictures? I need proof." Oliver hesitated only for a moment. "You got it. After everything you've helped me with around my place, I owe you. Besides, I'm not far from that room anyway. If I see anything, I'll get you the evidence you need. For what it's worth, Thomas, I hope this is just some terrible misunderstanding. You and Sophia deserve better than this. Thanks, Oliver." "I really appreciate it," Thomas said quietly. He ended the call and stood alone, thoughts churning. His entire world revolved around his wife and daughter. He'd spent years building their home from the ground up, pouring every spare moment into making it perfect for Nina. As far as he knew, she was happy. Yet, looking back over the past 6 months, everything felt unclear. Nina had worked longer hours, picked up back-to-back shifts, sometimes stayed overnight. Their intimacy had dwindled, but Thomas assumed she was exhausted. She never seemed upset. If anything, she acted content when they were together. Could she really have been leading the double life right under his nose? When his phone rang again, Thomas snatched it up instantly. "Thomas," Oliver's voice was low and heavy. "I'm really sorry, man. I saw them, your wife and Dr. Turner, all over each other like teenagers sneaking around behind the bleachers. I took pictures and even grabbed a little video. I don't think they noticed me. I wish I didn't have to tell you this, but you deserve the truth. If there's anything else you need, I'm here." After the call ended, Thomas sat in stunned silence. Moments later, the pictures and videos came through. He didn't want to look, but he had to. His stomach lurched at the sight. Nina, his wife, the mother of his child, wrapped around another man, her expression heated with desire, her hands pulling him closer. Tears welled in Thomas's eyes, and for the first time in years, he let them fall. "Dad." Thomas hastily wiped his face and turned. Sophia stood in the doorway, her wide eyes filled with concern. "Sweetheart, it's late," Thomas said, trying to steady his voice. "You should be in bed." "Everything's okay. I heard the phone," Sophia said softly, stepping farther into the room. "And I heard you crying. I'm not a little kid anymore. Dad, just tell me." Sophia had always been mature for her age, and Thomas couldn't bring himself to lie. Not completely. "I just found out." Thomas took a breath. "Your mom's been spending time with another man at work. I'm trying to figure out what to do next. She's supposed to come home after her shift, and I think I need to talk to her." Sophia's expression grew serious, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't think she's coming home tonight." Thomas's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Sophia glanced down, uneasy. "I heard her on the phone earlier. She said she was excited to spend the whole night with someone. I thought she meant a work friend." His throat felt tight, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Should I call her now?" Sophia gave a small, resolute nod. "Yeah. Let's see what she says." Thomas had always respected Nina's no calls unless it's an emergency rule, but this definitely qualified. He dialed her number. The phone rang several times before she answered, voice slightly breathless. "Thomas, what's wrong? Is Sophia okay?" "You sound out of breath," Thomas said, suspicion flaring. "What were you doing?" "My phone was in my locker," Nina said quickly. "I had to run to grab it. What's going on?" Images of her with Felix Turner flashed through Thomas's mind, destroying any instinct to soften the blow. "I'm guessing you're out of breath because you just finished being with Dr. Turner." The silence that followed was long and deafening. Then, faintly, he heard her mutter, "Darn, he knows." A beat later, she spoke again. But not to him. "Don't worry, Felix. I'll handle it." She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. "Thomas, I'm sorry you had to find out like this. But honestly, it's a relief. Now we can be honest. I love you, I really do. But my job is high stress, and I'm constantly surrounded by life or death decisions. Sometimes I need something extra. It's just physical. It doesn't mean I love you any less, or that I'm not committed to our family." Thomas's voice was cold and even. "That's not how I see it." Her tone sharpened. "Here's the reality. You have two options. Option 1, you act like none of this ever happened, and we keep our family together. I stay your devoted wife, and you still get intimacy every now and then while I blow off steam with other men when I need to. Option 2, we get divorced. I take half the house, half the savings, and I get primary custody of Sophia. You'll see her twice a month and on holidays, if I allow it. That's how things work here. And believe me, if you fight me, I'll make your life miserable. You love Sophia too much to risk that, don't you?" There was a pause before she added, "Anyway, once my shift wraps up, Felix and I are heading to a motel for the night. I'll be home tomorrow after work, and we can talk then. You'll see, it's easier if you just accept it. You'll be happier in the long run." The line went dead, leaving Thomas staring at the phone in his hand, his entire world crumbling. Thomas and Sophia sat silently at the kitchen table, their gazes locked, both battling shock and sorrow. Finally, Thomas broke the silence, voice unsteady. "Sophia, I'm at a complete loss. I don't know how to stay here, knowing what your mom's doing. But if I go through with a divorce, I might not see you every day. And at your age, the court's not likely to let you choose where you live." He hesitated, then asked, "If I have to leave, could you handle staying here with her?" "Absolutely not," Sophia replied, her tone sharp with certainty. "I'm old enough to know what I want, and if I have any say, I'm going wherever you go." Thomas leaned back, running a hand over his face, exhaustion weighing on him. "That doesn't leave us many options." Sophia's expression grew thoughtful. "There's one other option." Thomas gave her a wary look. "What's that?" "We flipped the script," she said firmly. He frowned. "You'll have to explain." "You remember Beverly, right? Her dad caught her mom cheating and disappeared with everything they owned. Cleaned out the bank, left her mom broke, and vanished. We could do something like that. Take everything we can and disappear." The boldness of her plan stunned Thomas, but the more he thought about it, the more sense it made. "Where would we even go?" he asked, though he already suspected the answer. Sophia's gaze softened. "You know where." The answer was unspoken but understood. Home. Not this house, but the place Thomas had turned his back on years ago. He exhaled slowly. "I'm not sure they'd even want me back." "You won't know unless you ask," Sophia said. "I've seen us there. I know it's where we belong." Her words carried a weight Thomas couldn't ignore. She was the granddaughter of a revered elder from the Singing Rock Reservation, a community he had walked away from in anger. Years back, furious at the world and rejecting everything tied to his heritage. He'd enlisted in the army with his childhood friend, Ben Tall Elk. His rejection of the tribe and its ways had led to a formal banishment. Later, after a deployment to Corana, the rage burned out, replaced by regret. Eventually, he reconnected with his mother, and through stories told quietly to Sophia, he slowly reintroduced her to the culture he once rejected. Sophia embraced it readily, her sense of belonging undeniable. As she grew, so did the occasional visions that sometimes guided her. Nina, unaware, never knew the deeper roots her daughter possessed. Thomas had always kept that side hidden, safely tucked away. "All right," Thomas said, feeling the decision settle in his chest like a stone. "I'll call your grandma. We have until tomorrow afternoon to get out of here before your mom shows up." Across town, in a cramped motel room lit by weak morning light, Nina pulled her blouse into place, while Felix fastened his belt. The night had been underwhelming. Their intimacy was fine but lacked real excitement. Twice in 8 hours was all Felix managed, and Nina had faked her peaks both times. She realized the thrill had never been Felix. It was the secrecy, the sneaking around, the fear of being caught. Now that Thomas knew, that danger was gone, leaving only Felix, who wasn't enough. By the time her Monday shift ended, Nina's mind was back on Thomas. Maybe it was time to end things with Felix, make up with Thomas, and regain the comfort of marriage. Felix's wife and kids would arrive soon anyway, leaving him no time for Nina. And if she played her cards right, Thomas would forgive her, for Sophia's sake, if nothing else. Once things calmed down, if she felt the old itch, she could always find someone new. Thomas wouldn't refuse if it meant keeping the family intact. At the end of her shift, Nina headed to the hospital parking lot, still mulling her next steps, until she saw her car, all 4 tires slashed. "Really, Thomas?" she thought, shaking her head. Childish. If he was trying to get her attention, she could use that to draw him back in. She pulled out her phone to call him, but the line had been disconnected, and her stomach twisted. If this was how he wanted to handle it, fine. She'd meet him head-on in divorce court. Sophia would be her trump card. Thomas couldn't win, not where his daughter was concerned. She borrowed a coworker's phone to call a cab, already outlining her plan to break him. As the taxi wound through the neighborhood, Nina spotted smoke curling into the sky. Emergency lights flickered in the distance. She assumed it was someone else's house, until they drew closer. It was hers. Before the cab even stopped, Nina flung the door open and sprinted toward the scene, heart hammering. A firefighter stopped her from going closer. "Ma'am, you can't go in there." "This is my house," she shouted. "Where's my husband? My daughter? Are they okay?" The fire chief gave her a somber look. "We believe they're safe." A neighbor saw them drive off right after someone lit a pile of clothes on fire out front. Clothes. Nina's eyes flicked to the lawn, where a charred, smoking heap of her belongings lay. Clothes, shoes, personal items, all destroyed. On top were the remains of her wedding album and framed pictures from the ceremony. Her hands shook at the sight of her once secure life reduced to ash. She turned her gaze to the ruined house. The fire was mostly extinguished, but the damage was irreparable. The home she controlled with an iron grip, the family she assumed would always be there, the safety net she counted on, gone. Nana spotted her neighbor, Mrs. Ramirez, standing on the sidewalk with a hardened expression. Nana approached, and the older woman's frown deepened. "They're gone," Mrs. Ramirez said flatly. "I hope you're satisfied." Nana's voice edged with desperation. "What do you mean gone? Where are they?" Thomas and Sophia stopped by before they started the fire. "They told me everything about you. Honestly, I'm disgusted. That man adored you, and that little girl worshipped you. I don't know how you could do that to them. I hope it eats you up." Nana shook her head in disbelief. "This is a misunderstanding. Wait, are you saying Thomas started the fire? He built that house? Every wall, every plank. That was his dream. Our dream. Where did they go?" Mrs. Ramirez's expression stayed cold. "He told me, I built this house, and I'll decide how it ends. It's only wood and nails. A house isn't a home once the love is gone. He didn't just burn the house. Nina, you did. They're gone now, and they don't want to be found. I hope they disappear so completely you never see them again." With that, Mrs. Ramirez turned and walked away, leaving Nina standing there, mind reeling. When she wandered back to what was left of the house, the fire chief approached with a sympathetic look, explaining it would take days to sift the wreckage for anything salvageable. In the meantime, did she have somewhere to stay? "I'll go to my parents," Nina said, half in a daze. In the taxi, Nina gave the driver her parents' address, her thoughts swinging between denial and fury. Either Thomas would come crawling back, or she'd track him down, drag him to court, and crush him. When they arrived, Nina reached for her wallet, but the driver frowned apologetically. "Your card's declined." Nina forced a shaky smile. "I'll get some cash from my dad. Just wait here." She rang the doorbell, tears pressing behind her eyes. She needed her parents' support. When the door opened, her father, Joseph, stood there. But he didn't unlatch the screen. "What do you want?" he asked, voice stiff. "Dad, it's me," Nina said, her voice trembling. "Please let me in. Something awful happened." "Thomas." Joseph cut her off. "I know." Thomas and Sophia passed by on their way out of town. Nina's heart pounded. "Why? What did they tell you?" His eyes darkened with disappointment. "How could you do this? I thought we raised you better. Thomas was the son I never had, and Sophia's our only grandchild. You tore them apart." His voice shook with anger. "As far as we're concerned, you're no daughter of ours. Dad, you're not being fair," Nina pleaded. "This is all a giant misunderstanding. Thomas is overreacting. He'll come around. Please let me talk to Mom." Joseph's mouth curled in a bitter smile. "A misunderstanding. That's what you're calling it." He took a slow breath, then added, "We saw the photos, Nina." Nina's stomach twisted. "Photos? He showed you pictures." "He didn't want to," Joseph admitted. "But your mother refused to believe it without proof." Joseph's face hardened. "She fainted the second she saw them. Needed sedation. She doesn't want to see you. Not now. Maybe never." Without another word, he shut the door. Nana stood there in numb shock before turning slowly back to the waiting taxi. "Where to?" the driver asked, sounding impatient. She needed a place to go, someone who might still help her. Then it hit her. If Thomas had locked everything down, her credit cards were useless. After a second's hesitation, she told the driver her younger sister Camilla's address. Nina and Camilla had never been close. Camilla was the rebel, the black sheep who resisted all attempts at control. Yet she loved Sophia, so Nina clung to that hope. Camilla opened the door with her arms crossed, wearing a smug grin. "I've been expecting you." Nina frowned. Dad called you. Nope, Camilla said, grinning wider. Thomas and Sophia stopped by. Figured Mom and Dad wouldn't welcome you, so they guessed you'd turn up here. And they were right. Nina's shoulders slumped. Look, can you pay the cab? My cards are blocked, and I need a place to crash. Thomas burned the house down. Camilla's eyebrows shot up, but she shrugged. Sure, why not? This'll be interesting. Nina mumbled her thanks and stepped inside, collapsing onto Camilla's worn-out couch, while Camilla paid the driver. Then Camilla settled into a chair, eyes sparkling with glee. This is gonna be fun. What's that supposed to mean? Nina asked wearily. You don't get it, do you? You were the golden girl. Perfect grades, perfect job, perfect family. Every time I messed up, it was always, why can't you be like Nina? Her smile turned razor sharp. But look at you now. Everyone loves Thomas. Neighbors, Mom and Dad. Heck, even I like the guy. How many times did he fix something or just show up to help? And Sophia, she's amazing, but you threw it all away. Nana's jaw tightened. I don't need a lecture. Oh, you're getting one, Camilla retorted. You had the husband most women dream of. A man who built you a house with his own hands. And you tossed it away for cheap thrills. You don't know what it was like, Nina muttered. No, Camilla shot back. But I do know you threatened to cut him off from his own daughter if he didn't let you mess around. That's not just cheating, Nina. That's cruel. Thomas overreacted, Nina insisted. He abducted Sophia. He had no right to take her without telling me. I'll make him pay. Camilla's eyes flashed with disgust. You really are unbelievable. You burned your marriage, broke your kid's heart, and now you want to punish the only good parent Sophia has. Nina folded her arms and lifted her chin. He crossed a line. No, Camilla said quietly, and I'm only letting you stay because I want a front-row seat to your downfall. Nina spent the night on Camilla's couch, unable to sleep as her mind spun with fury, fear, and schemes to regain control. The next morning, she called off work, determined to piece her life back together. It didn't take long to uncover the financial trap Thomas had set. Every joint account, every credit card, even the mortgage and car loan, legally shifted into her name alone. The burden for every debt they once shared now belonged to her. He had, however, funneled half the savings into her personal account, just enough to let her rent a small place and replace some possessions lost to the flames. That afternoon, she contacted the insurance company to file a claim on the house fire. That's when she found out Thomas had canceled their fire coverage weeks earlier. No insurance payout, no safety net. All she had was a scorched lot of land and a pile of ashes where her house once stood. At least it had been fully paid off, so she wasn't stuck paying for a property that no longer existed. With every hour, she discovered more responsibilities Thomas had handled without complaint. Bills, repairs, and due dates. She'd taken it all for granted. The weight of what he'd contributed pressed down on her. Then it hit her. She'd confused the missing person process with parental abduction rules. Missing adults need 48 hours, but child abductions can be reported immediately. Heart pounding, she drove to the police station. At the front counter, a desk officer asked politely, "Can I help you?" "Yes," she said, voice tight. "I need to file a report. My daughter's been taken." The officer's posture stiffened. "Taken? Who took her?" "My 10-year-old daughter, Sophia Ray Carrillo, was taken by her father, Thomas Swiftriver." The officer's brow quirked. "Swiftriver, the carpenter?" "That's him," Nina confirmed. His expression shifted from concern to something almost amused. "So this is a custody matter? Divorce in progress?" "No," Nina snapped. "No divorce yet." He just grabbed her and ran. The officer's lip curled in a wry smirk. "Wouldn't have anything to do with him torching that house first, would it?" Nina's jaw set. "That was our house, and it's not funny." "Didn't say it was," the officer said. "But you should know, Lots of guys in town applaud him. Plenty of men stuck in miserable marriages with cheating wives. Nina's eyes narrowed. Where do you get that garbage? Word travels fast, he replied. Especially about Thomas. And the scene officers filled me in. Fury flared in Nina's eyes. Are you actually going to do something or just sit there running your mouth? He raised both hands in mock surrender. Relax. I'll file the paperwork, but don't expect me to dance with excitement. Under his breath, he muttered, Shame you didn't take your vows as seriously as he did. What was that? Nina demanded. Nothing, he said with a shrug. Remembering how Thomas built a wheelchair ramp for my mom when nobody else would. Heck of a guy. He grabbed a form. Anyway, let's get this on record. Nana stood there fuming while the officer began writing. When's the last time you saw your daughter? He asked. Sunday night, Nina said. By the time I got home from work Monday, they were gone. The officer looked up. That's a big window. I was at work all day, she said defensively. Do you have any idea where they went? Nina hesitated. He never talked much about his family, but I know he's native. It's possible he returned to his reservation. The officer leaned back slightly in his chair. Which reservation would that be? Nina faltered. I don't actually know. His eyebrows lifted. You were married to him for over a decade and never asked which tribe he belonged to. Aren't there only so many tribes out there? She snapped, frustration flooding her voice. Can't you just check them all? He snorted. Lady, there are hundreds of recognized tribes, each with its own government. They don't like outsiders barging in, especially not for a family matter. Nina's frustration burst. So what am I supposed to do? We'll put out a general bulletin, the officer said. Maybe the Department of the Interior can pass it to tribal police. Got any recent photos of your daughter? Nina's shoulders sagged. Not with me. All our albums were in the house. They're gone. He frowned. None in your wallet. On your phone. She scrolled through her phone until she found a picture from 2 years ago. She's changed a lot since then. He glanced at it, then gave her a pointed look. Says a lot about your priorities. Excuse me, she growled. He shook his head. Never mind. Bring in whatever photos your parents might have. I'm not someone who carries pictures everywhere, Nina said defensively. That's what albums are for. He didn't respond. The next day, Nina returned to the hospital, hoping for some normalcy. But the moment she walked onto her floor, conversations died. The friendly smiles vanished. Colleagues called her Mrs. Carrillo, never Nina, and stayed distant on purpose. Confused and frustrated, Nina cornered Rebecca, a longtime coworker she'd once considered a friend. Rebecca, what's going on? Why is everyone acting like I have the plague? Rebecca crossed her arms, expression frosty. It's simple. You are the plague. Everyone knows about your extracurricular activities with doctors. Honestly, we assumed Thomas was into it, like some weird arrangement. Thank goodness we were wrong. Nina's stomach flipped. Who's spreading these lies? No one's lying, Rebecca answered. The head of security told us. Turns out your husband wasn't just a handyman. He's a decorated vet. And Sophia? We adored that kid. Rebecca, please. Rebecca cut her off. Save it. After what you did, don't expect a warm welcome from anyone. With that, Rebecca turned and walked away, leaving Nina stunned. War hero, Nina muttered bitterly to herself. Thomas isn't a hero. He's just a carpenter. The following day, her day off, Nina drove to Thomas's old job site, desperate for answers. Inside the construction office, she found Milton, his former boss and closest friend, hunched over papers. Hey, Milton. Nina greeted, forcing a casual tone. Is Thomas working today? He didn't glance up. Nope. Quit first thing Monday morning. Normally I'd be upset, but after what he told me, I get it. Nina's chest felt tight. Do you know where he went? Now Milton looked up, his expression icy. Even if I did, You'd be the last to hear. Why? Nina asked, though dread already pooled in her gut. He set his jaw. Because I owe him everything. Someone said he was a war hero, Nina continued. Is that true? He always insisted he was just a regular soldier. Milton laughed bitterly. That's the story he told so folks wouldn't worry. The truth. Thomas was recon, special ops. The reason I'm standing here at all is because of him. Nina's stomach twisted. A new piece of her old life was crumbling. Milton went on. Because of his heritage, the military pegged him for reconnaissance. He was usually the one leading the unit, first to go into danger, first to draw enemy fire. He seemed guided by fate, or something stronger, always making it back alive. I can't count how many times I saw him survive things no one should. And it wasn't luck. He saved my behind more times than I care to admit. Did you know he was awarded both the Bronze Star and the Silver Star? Nina's voice barely emerged. He never told me. Milton's eyes hardened. You knew he was native, but did you ever bother to ask which tribe? She shook her head, embarrassed. No, I never did. Then it's not my place to fill in the details, Milton said firmly. The only person he ever really talked to about that was his best friend, Ben Tall Elk. Where can I find him? Nina asked, a flicker of hope in her voice. Milton's expression darkened. You can't. Ben was lost in action shortly before their deployment ended. Thomas carried him through enemy fire, trying to save him. Even after dragging Ben to safety, he went back, twice, to pull out 2 more guys. That's what earned him the Silver Star. Milton turned away, voice quiet. I've got work to finish. That's all I'll say. Nina left, mind spinning. Fantastic, she muttered. Turns out I cheated on an actual war hero. How could I have been married to him for so long and not known any of this? How could he hide so much? The next day, Nina arrived at the hospital, but didn't even reach her station before being summoned to the administrator's office, alongside Dr. Turner. They trudged there in silence, both knowing it would be grim. Mr. Kassim, the hospital administrator, regarded them with a harsh stare. I learned the 2 of you have been engaging in personal activities on hospital property. On duty, no less. Apparently, I'm the last person in the building to find out. At first I considered formal reprimands, but then the phone calls started. One by one, members of the board demanded to know how I'd handle this. It became obvious that if I didn't fire you both, I'd lose my own job. His voice sharpened. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. Security will escort you to your lockers to collect your belongings. Furthermore, you must report this incident to your licensing boards. From what I've seen, expect a year's suspension, if not total revocation. He leaned back, arms folded. I hope whatever cheap thrill you chased was worth it, because all you have left is the fallout. The walk to the locker room was silent until Dr. Turner finally snapped, face contorted with fury. Your crazy husband mailed photos, and a lovely little letter, to my wife. She walked out on me. So thanks for that, Nina. You've ruined my life. Nina barely had time to absorb that blow before he added, and by the way, you may have a great figure, but the intimacy wasn't even all that. She didn't respond. She packed in silence, her mind numb. No job, no home, no husband, no daughter, no friends. Even her own family turned against her. What the heck am I supposed to do now? She whispered to herself. Up the highway, Thomas pulled out his phone and made a call. Red Mesa Tribal Offices, a receptionist said. Hello, is Miguel Alvarez available? Thomas asked, voice hesitant. Who's calling? Thomas paused. Might be better if I don't say just yet. One moment, the receptionist said. After over a minute of silence, a different voice came through. This is Miguel Alvarez. You've got 10 seconds to say who you are before I hang up. Thomas took a deep breath. It's me, Thomas Swiftriver. I'm trying to come home. A heavy pause followed. At last, Miguel spoke, voice cold. "You've got some nerve calling here. You're not welcome." "Please, wait," Thomas said quickly. "Moon Woman's granddaughter is with me." And even longer silence. When Miguel finally spoke again, his tone was cautious. "How old is she now? Is she showing signs?" "She's 10, Thomas replied. "Her vision started a couple of years back. She's the one who saw us coming here. I realize most of the council still doesn't want me around." "I know," Thomas admitted. "Years ago, I was angry and reckless. I turned my back on my family, my culture, my responsibilities. All I can do is ask forgiveness and hope they'll give me a chance." Miguel was quiet for a few beats. "If not for Moon Woman's granddaughter, I wouldn't even bring this up to the council. And there's no promise they'll say yes." "I understand," Thomas said. "I'm just asking for a chance. Nothing more." "What's her full name?" Miguel asked. "Sophia Swiftdriver," Thomas said softly. "We call her Sophia." Miguel exhaled. "Moon Woman always said you'd have a daughter who'd lead you back when you couldn't find the path yourself. She believed your anger could be soothed if the right spirit guided you." "She was right," Thomas murmured. "She knew she wouldn't be around to teach Sophia in person, so she made me swear I'd bring her back." "She's still young," Miguel said. "But you say she's more mature than most kids." Thomas nodded, even though Miguel couldn't see him. "She's ready to learn." Miguel's voice softened slightly. "I'll bring it to the council. Meet at the tribal hall at 7, 2 days from now. Give me a number where you can be reached." Thomas did so. "We're already heading north." "Thanks, Miguel." After the call, Sophia reached across the seat and squeezed Thomas's hand gently. "Don't worry, Dad," she said confidently. "Moon Woman is watching over us." That night, Thomas's phone rang. Miguel's name flashed on the screen. "The council has agreed to hear you," he said. "Moon Woman's legacy swayed them more than I expected, but don't assume it's a free pass. You still have a lot to answer for." "I know," Thomas said. "Thanks for giving me a chance." When Thomas and Sophia arrived at the tribal hall, every eye turned in their direction. But Sophia drew most of the attention. While Thomas sought forgiveness, it was clear the council's true focus was on Sophia. One elder after another questioned her. "What visions have you had so far? Would you train with a healer, even if it meant time away from your father? Can you show proof, here and now, of your gift?" Sophia answered honestly, explaining that the visions came unannounced. She couldn't summon them. Her straightforward honesty earned respect from some elders, while a few remained skeptical. After Sophia stepped outside, the tribal healer, Bright Dove, entered to give her impressions. She'd already met Sophia privately before the council convened. One elder leaned forward. "What's your view of this girl?" Bright Dove chose her words carefully. "For many years, Moon Woman's spirit has guided me. I sensed that same presence around her granddaughter, strong and vivid. Moon Woman walks with this child. But Sophia has grown up between two worlds. The outside influence is woven into her. It will take patience, dedication, and time to see if she can bridge both sides." "Does she belong here?" another elder asked. "No doubt," Bright Dove said. "She has the heart for it, and I'm willing to teach her. However," she added with a tiny smile, "the girl made one thing very clear. She won't stay unless her father is welcome too. If we turn him away, we lose her." Once Bright Dove left, the council debated briefly. Unanimously, they agreed Sophia could stay. Thomas's fate, though, was more complicated. Many still resented his abandonment. Unable to come to an immediate decision, they deferred to Miguel for guidance. He suggested a compromise. Thomas could remain if he made a public, meaningful apology to the tribe. And if, after enough time, Sophia showed no genuine spiritual gifts, both father and daughter would have to leave. That night, Thomas sat alone, wrestling with how to prove his sincerity, how to show he was no longer the furious, reckless man they recalled. Then the answer came, carpentry. The reservation needed something built, something crucial. He noticed the clinic was in a terrible state: cracked walls, peeling paint, grimy floors. It actually felt worse to be there than to stay sick at home. So he vowed to build them a new clinic. With help from Sophia and the woman who had taken her under her wing, they picked a suitable site, and the council approved it. Thomas had once helped build a clinic on a volunteer mission to Nicaragua, but this time he was on his own. No crew, no donations, just his own money, tools, and sweat. People from the reservation watched quietly. No one offered help, and Thomas never asked. Day by day, plank by plank, nail by nail, he worked alone. After months, the new clinic was completed, ready for a blessing ceremony. The tribe held one, a simple gesture that thawed a few hearts. But not all. Thomas was tolerated, not fully embraced. Some felt the clinic was enough. Others never would. One night, a few men drove that point home by dragging him outside and whipping his back with thorny branches, leaving his skin raw and bloody. They wanted permanent scars to remind him that leaving might be forgiven, but never forgotten. Thomas never cried out. He limped home, where Sophia quietly cleaned his wounds, her eyes ablaze with anger. Before she could speak, he rested a hand on hers. "No, Moon Woman," he whispered, using the name they'd given her. "They had to feel they punished me enough." That's how the healing begins. Years passed. Thomas took carpentry work in nearby towns, even found jobs in the local oil fields. Slowly, the tribe's coldness ebbed, though a few still held him at a distance. Then missing person flyers appeared, showing old photos of Thomas and a younger Sophia, the word missing in bold. At first, there was no reward, but soon new flyers offered $5,000 for information. Thomas knew people who would sell him out for less. By now, Sophia had grown into a bright teenager of 14. Skin sun-bronze, her singing rock heritage blended with her mother's lighter features. She worked in the reservation's gift shop, flashing a confident smile at tourists, who often bought more than they planned. One afternoon, though, her smile faded the moment she got home. "Dad," she said quietly, "I saw something." "What is it?" Thomas asked. "Mom's coming." Thomas had always expected this day. Nina would find them eventually and try to reclaim Sophia. A swirl of emotions rose in him: anger, regret, a spark of old love. "What should we do, Moon Woman?" he asked softly. Sophia's answer was immediate: "We face her." A week later, Sophia was at work when Nina walked in, hair shorter, flecked with silver, scanning the shop nervously. Even with the changes, Sophia knew her in an instant. She stepped forward and said lightly, "These necklaces are gorgeous. I bet one would look great on someone like you." Nina jumped, eyes locking on Sophia's face. Recognition warred with doubt. The girl before her was taller, darker, more self-assured. But that smile. "Could you smile for me, sweetheart?" Nina whispered. Sophia gave a bright grin. Recognition sparked, but Nina still hesitated. She bought a necklace, and at the counter, a familiar voice from behind made her freeze. "Hello, Nina," Thomas said. "Been a while." She knew that voice anywhere. His face was harder, etched with years and regret. "Thomas," she managed, voice quivering. "I need to see Sophia." He nodded toward the girl behind the counter. "Look behind you." Sophia stood there, tears gleaming in her eyes. "Hi, Mom," she said softly. In a heartbeat, they were in each other's arms, crying and laughing at once. "I'm so sorry," Nina sobbed. "I missed you so much." When they separated, Nina turned to Thomas. "I'm not here to drag up the past," she said. "I just want to be part of her life again, if you'll let me." "Are you planning to take her away?" Thomas asked calmly. "No," Nina said, voice trembling. "I've already lost too much. I just want time with her." Thomas's expression remained guarded. "What about your job, and the man you left us for?" "I quit my job when I realized where you were," Nina admitted. "There's been no one since you left. I couldn't commit. I broke us, and I've lived with that ever since. A flicker crossed Thomas's eyes. Same here. Haven't been with anyone either. Surprised, Nana asked, "Why?" He hesitated. Didn't know if I could trust again. Once was more than enough. Then he added, "We're divorced now, right?" Nina gave a small nod. "Yes, I filed after losing my nursing license." "You lost your license." "Got it back, but it was hard to find work. I went back to school, became a nurse practitioner." Her voice softened. "Does Sophia need anything?" "Anything I can do. She's fine," Thomas said, then flashed a faint smile. "Except maybe a bit of patience. She's a teenager." Sophia spoke up with a grin. "Mom, you're not staying in that awful hotel, are you?" "I don't want to impose, but you'll stay with us," Thomas cut in. "We talked about it already. It's simpler if you're nearby for Sophia's sake. But understand, you're here for her, nothing else." "I understand," Nina said quietly. "I'm just grateful for the chance. I'll help however I can." Sophia grinned. "Please tell me you learned to cook. It was pretty bad before." They laughed, tension briefly easing. Thomas offered to drive Nina to grab her bags from the hotel. The ride back wound past tourist areas, before merging into a quieter section of the reservation, where modern homes meshed with native art and cultural markers. Thomas carried her bags into the guest room, where Nina noticed soft, feminine touches. "Is this your room, Sophia?" she asked. Sophia, perched on the bed, shook her head. It was Bright Feather's room, Dad's cousin. "She helped us when we first arrived. Now it's yours, for as long as you need." Her voice wavered a little, her guard slipping. "I'm really glad you're here, Mom." Tears rose in Nina's eyes. "Me too, sweetheart." Later, after Sophia had gone to bed, Nana found Thomas in the living room, arms folded. "I need to say something," she began. "I know I'm the last person you want an apology from, but please." He stayed silent, expression impossible to read. "For years, I blamed everyone but me," she admitted. "Even my parents said how much I hurt them, and Sophia. The worst was seeing my mom cry about it. I've been in therapy, trying to become someone Sophia can respect. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know I don't deserve it. I just want you to know I'm not the person I used to be." She lowered her gaze. "I destroyed our marriage, our family, and Sophia's trust. I deserve everything that's happened." Thomas didn't reply, though his mind churned. Words were cheap. He'd simply tolerate her presence for Sophia's sake. In the weeks that followed, they settled into a routine. Nana took care of house chores, spent her days reconnecting with Sophia, and slowly learned about the tribe. She kept a respectful distance from Thomas, mindful not to push boundaries. Dinners were more relaxed, sometimes dipping into a comfortable familiarity, though the tension lingered. Once their distance sprang from her long shifts. Now it was the history between them. One evening after dinner, Nina approached him. "We need to talk." He set his coffee aside. "Go ahead. I've been here a few weeks, and being with you and Sophia again means so much. But we need to figure out what comes next." His jaw tensed. "You're not trying to take her, are you?" "Of course not," she assured him. "I'm not here to pull her away. But I can't live off your generosity forever." He relaxed slightly. "Did you find work?" "I did. The reservation clinic offered me a job, long hours, not much pay. But it's work. I also wanted to ask if I should be looking for my own place." "You don't like it here?" he asked. "I do," Nina said gently. "But I don't want to overstay my welcome. Sometimes you seem okay with me. Other times you look like you're reliving the day you burned our house down." His face hardened, old memories flickering. Thomas rarely made future plans anymore. Living day by day was safer, yet he couldn't deny Nina seemed different. "I'll think about it," he finally said. She nodded. "I found a little room for rent just across the state line. It's close enough to visit, but far enough to give you space." Her voice wobbled. "Whatever you decide, thank you. You didn't have to let me back in Sophia's life. Or yours. That night, Nina woke to muffled sobs. She slipped into the hall, checking Sophia's room first. Her daughter was sound asleep. The crying came from Thomas's room. Heart pounding, Nina eased the door open to find him sitting on the bed, head in his hands, broad shoulders shaking with silent tears. Without thinking, she sat beside him. "Thomas," she whispered, "what's wrong? Please, let me help." He didn't answer, but her fingers touched the raised scars on his back. She gasped softly. "What happened?" "Part of what I had to endure to come home," he murmured. His voice was rough, eyes wet. Tears pooled in her own. "This is my fault. I tore our family apart, and you paid for it. I thought I understood pain, but I didn't." She brushed at her eyes. "Tell me how to make it right." His voice cracked. "I don't deserve you comforting me." "What?" she asked softly. "I can't do this anymore," he said, voice strained. "Having you here is tearing me up inside." "Thomas, please." He shook his head. "I know I hurt you, but you destroyed me. I'll pack and leave tomorrow." "No," Nina's voice broke. "I'm the one who should go." She stood, clutching her nightclothes, but he caught her hand. "That's the problem. Every time I see you, I remember how much I still want you. Not just for a night. For the life we were supposed to share." He sighed. "I've clung to my anger so long, I don't know what else to feel. But it's not nothing." He let her hand go. "If you stay, we can't pretend to be only co-parents. You'll always be welcome here for Sophia. But for my sanity, I need you gone." Her heart twisted. "I didn't come expecting you to want me. I figured I lost that chance forever. But I've prayed for the tiniest shot at fixing this. I want to stay, not just for Sophia, but for us. If you can't stand it, I'll leave first thing in the morning. But it's not what I want." Thomas didn't speak, so Nina gently slid her hands up his arms, fingertips tracing his scars. Her lips grazed his shoulder. She cradled his face and kissed him, softly at first, then more deeply. Longing, regret, need, all at once. They clung together, murmuring apologies and hopes between kisses, the walls between them crumbling like the life they'd once built. Over the next weeks, a new balance took shape. Thomas kept carpentry jobs while Nina settled into a demanding schedule at the clinic. They didn't talk about marriage or labels. Their finances stayed separate, with Nina paying her share. Most nights they ended up together in the same bed, but sometimes, when Nina came home utterly exhausted, she crashed in the guest room. Sophia stayed busy with school, her spiritual lessons, and time with new friends on the reservation. In some ways, life felt comfortably routine, similar to before. Except now it was woven into the traditions and beliefs of the community, where visions and ceremonies marked daily life. Perhaps they should have known comfort can be dangerous, that slipping back into old habits brings back the good and the bad. One afternoon, storms rolled in, halting Thomas's outdoor carpentry work. He came home earlier than usual, so he was there when Sophia returned from school. "Hey, kiddo," he called from the kitchen. "You're a bit late. Stop somewhere." "Yeah," Sophia said, quieter than usual. "We need to talk." Thomas's stomach tightened. "That sounds serious. Did something happen at school? Boy trouble?" She shook her head. "No. It's about Mom." A cold weight settled in his gut. "What about her?" "This time, I didn't see it in a vision," Sophia whispered. "I saw it myself." Thomas's jaw flexed, but he stayed silent. "I went by the clinic," Sophia explained. "I wanted to see her about something." She came out of an exam room with Dr. Patel, his zipper halfway down, and Mom was wiping her mouth. A knot formed in Thomas's chest, but Sophia wasn't done. "I pretended to leave, then doubled back. She spotted me, acted normal, asked how school was, but she looked guilty. After we said goodbye, I faked leaving again and stood outside her office. I heard her say, We have to be more careful. Then I heard them kiss. Thomas's face went blank as that protective wall slammed into place. Sophia recognized the look. She'd seen it too often before. Wanting to pull him back from the edge, she changed topics abruptly. "Dad, I think my visions are fading." He frowned. "What do you mean?" "My mentor said it might happen during puberty," she said softly. "I can't connect as easily. If they fade completely, some folks on the council will try to say we don't belong here. But I have good friends here, Dad, and you're the only person I refuse to lose. I think it's time for us to move on." Thomas's jaw eased slightly. "Are you sure?" She nodded firmly. "I'm totally sure." He paused, then asked, "All right. Where do you want to go this time?" A small, mischievous smile curved Sophia's lips. "Hawaii." Thomas snorted. "Hawaii? That's pretty far from the Dakota Plains." "They'd probably need carpenters there," she teased. "Probably," he agreed, a faint grin appearing. "And I doubt they have any councils keeping tabs on us in Hawaii." "Safe bet," Sophia said. "So we'd better get packing." "When do we leave?" "As soon as we're ready," Thomas replied. "Great, and one more thing," she added, eyes brightening. Thomas sighed, knowing where she was going. "Not this again. Come on, it was fun last time," Sophia said, eyes dancing. He shook his head, half amused, half resigned. All right. But this time we take every cent. Whatever's in her personal account is all she gets." Nina was at the clinic when she heard distant sirens. They shouldn't have stood out, but something about them set her nerves on edge. She remembered a conversation with Sophia about backup plans. Her stomach knotted with sudden certainty. She bolted from the clinic, raced home, and found the driveway empty, the house ominously still. The front door stood ajar. Sophia must have discovered everything. She must have told Thomas. Why do I always do this? Nina thought, stricken, standing frozen on the porch. Why can't I stop ruining everything good in my life? But she already knew the answer. She always had.